Everyone. Welcome to INTOUCH, a masterclass on school products powered by Brainwonders in partnership with Curiosity Gym. This fourth edition of Masterclass series will take you on a short journey of introducing you to 30 innovative school products selected from across India. In this masterclass, innovative products, informative contents, and progressive ideas are being shared with you. We remain hopeful that this and forthcoming sessions will inspire you to take your school community to a new direction of development. My name is Namrata, and I will be your moderator for today. I represent India's largest counseling organization, Brainwonders. With 108 global centers, Brainwonders has been the face of academic guidance, career development, and personal growth via its US patented TMIT and online psychometric test. Founded by Mr. Manish Naidu, over the past decade, Brainwonders has been nationally awarded on 7 different platforms, including recognition for being the most trusted and digitally innovative career counseling company. Excellence and passion is what Brainwonders strives for. And with that, let's begin today's session. Before I welcome today's speaker, I request all our audience to immerse themselves in the session and hold their questions, which will be addressed right after the session. I present to you today's speaker, Girish Nair, who is the founder and CEO of Curiosity Gym. Curiosity Gym is an educational organization that provides curriculum and runs experiential learning innovation hubs in schools. Prior to founding Curiosity Gym, Mr. Nair was CEO at Netcore, India's leading email and mobile technology platform service provider, and also a partner at Tandem Capital, a Silicon Valley based seed capital fund where he mentored entrepreneurs. Mr. Nair has worked in Silicon Valley, USA for over 15 years at technology companies like Siebel, Webvan, and Intel in a senior engineering management roles prior to his return to India 15 years back. At both Intel and Webvan, he was one of the youngest program managers tasked with the automation of large integrated robotic systems for material handling within Intel factories and Webvan's distribution centers. Mr. Nair has a bachelor's in engineering from IIT Bombay, a master's in industrial engineering from Virginia Tech, and also studied engineering management at Stanford. In his second innings at Curiosity Gym, he would like to create a platform for kids, youth, and adults to have fun while learning. Mr. Nair's hobbies are biking, basketball, and playing frisbee with his son and dog, Leo. Today's session topic is experiential learning in hybrid classroom. Over to you, Mr. Nair.
Thank you. Thank you for that kind introduction, Namrata. Okay. So there was a short video before Namrata spoke on what Curiosity Gym does, and many of you are wondering about what Curiosity Gym is, right? So Curiosity Gym was set up about 5 years ago, with the intention of catalyzing curiosity in students, right? So we normally go to a gym to exercise the body, and Curiosity Gym's goal is to exercise curiosity. And our logo really is to have everyone kind of imagine their questions, right? So typically in schools, we're all about, here's the problem, here's the answer, and we guide students from the problem to the answer. And perhaps the way of the future is going to be because there's so much change going on in the world that what's going to be important is what problems to tackle in the first place, and taking a step back to say, okay, maybe there are multiple solutions to this problem, right? And to have students kind of be curious before they jump to solutions. So Curiosity Gym's aim is to catalyze that curiosity in students. Right? So our mission is to be a catalyst for tomorrow's innovators, and we believe that innovation starts with initially the question of curiosity, inquiry, discovery, and then you start innovating. There's no reason, for example, why the next generation of innovators from the world are actually not spawned from India. right? We have the human capital, if you will, right? We have over 300 million people in schools today, equal to the population, more than the population of many of the industrialized countries, right? So our time has come, and this innovation will come in India only if we start with not bookish learning, but exposing children to, you know, to find their inner self for asking questions. Why is this working this way? How can it be improved? How can I make it better? So these kinds of questions, if we inculcate in young students and then take it up to the college level, and as they go into careers, it comes by second nature to them on asking the right questions to innovate. So Curiosity Gym's goal is to create this platform where they ask these questions. Right? And so we have solutions for schools, for colleges, for teachers, for career counselors, and I'll walk you through some of that. Our team itself is qualified makers and educators who mostly have come to us. They've been able to find us because they understand that our company is about a different kind of education company where we're trying to make a difference in how people learn, right? And many of the team are from IIT, Stanford, IIM Ahmedabad, TIFR, Homi Baba, and others, right? So very strong science and engineering team. Right? So if you really look at many of you all are principals in schools, right? So what will the future-ready school look like, right? And the focus that is going to happen is, rather than having the question from school administration to teachers as, is your syllabus complete and what are the average marks of your class? The focus is going to change toward, are students in your class, has their curiosity increased? Has their creative confidence increased? Has their joy of learning increased? And have they developed a mindset for problem solving? Because problem solving, not from known problems. It's not about having lots of question papers and solving those question papers and getting the right answer, right? The way of the future is going to be, and just like the pandemic has taught the whole world has been, if you ask me, for 100 years, we had the Spanish flu in 1912, but not many of us learned about it from a historical perspective, geography perspective, biology perspective. Maybe we could have had different solutions and it wouldn't have taken 9 months of a world shutdown to come to an answer if we had thought of it differently. So the world is going to have to train our students to start thinking about problems, and these are called unbounded problems. There's no one solution, right? It could be multiple solutions, and you have to be able to also make assumptions to come to those solutions. How do we train our students to have these kind of skills? That is what future-ready schools are going to be. Right? So Curiosity Gym likes to enable schools to get into these paradigms, and there's a way we go about it. So for example, now I'm going to have an interactive exercise. So those of y'all who have chat, please kind of this thing. This is a contraption that was invented by one of our students. So can any of y'all guess what it is? Is it a personal protective equipment? Is it a kid's toy? Is it a fly catcher? Is it a senior citizen assistant? What is it? Can you answer in chat on A, B, C, D? Namrata, can they answer in chat?
Yes, people can post their questions on the chat directly.
Yes. Can I read the chat?
Sure, sir, you can. You can go to the top left corner of your screen
Yes.
and you will see the chat option right there.
Yes. So you can say, somebody says D. Any other answers? Digawali says D. Yeah, so D is D. Yeah, somebody said B. What is B? B is a kid's toy. Any other answers? Somebody says C. Okay, so any A's? One was a fly catcher. Yeah. The 2 D's. Okay. So let me give you a hint. The D was the correct answer. So a senior citizen assistant. But how? How is it a senior citizen assistant? How will that contraption help a senior citizen? Anyone? Again, answer in chat. No answers yet? At least the people who answered D. Vatsala? Anybody typing? Okay, I'm going to kind of give you a hint here. So this is what it's used for. Okay, it's a bulb remover, right? So a senior citizen, can, if there's nobody in the house, they don't need to stand on a stool to remove a bulb that's fused, right? They can just rotate it and then this thing. Now, how was this done? On the left, the prototype, it had a PVC pipe, it had some cable. They 3D printed the light green stuff, and the yellow stuff was 3D printed, and then they had a spring so that when you pull it with the rope, it opens and closes, right? And the yellow thing was like a claw, so it can, it could actually pick up an egg or a bulb and without breaking it, right? So very innovative way of solving a problem. Again, this came up with some of the students invented this. What about this one? What is this? Again, please answer in chat. A pepper shaker, a distress alarm, a wet wipe dispenser, or none of the above? B and C are current answers. A wet wipe dispenser and a distress alarm. Two B's, two C's so far. Okay. So let me show you this button. It says Me Too button. It looks a little bit like the previous slide with some labeling. So what do you think it is now? In fact, one of the things says emergency, press here. So it was a distress alarm, right? So when we call it the Me Too alarm, so maybe a woman can, have this like in a handbag, and if he feels threatened, you can just press a button and it can make a loud noise, maybe even send an SMS to somebody, right? So that kind of thing, right? So it has a small board inside the cylinder, which is actually connected to the net, and it can make a noise as well as send a message. Yeah. This was a thing again invented by one of our students. So what do you think this is? A bottle opener, a key to the world, carry bag holder, all of the above. Rashmi Mehta says D. So many D's. Yeah, this one was an easy one, right? So it is, you could actually use it even as a keychain to open a door. So again, in the social distancing world where we don't want to touch anything that somebody else has touched, you could potentially have this and then put it in the pouch. In the black thing was the pouch. So after you touch it, you could even touch the button on your elevator. You could open a door, and you could even use it as a carry bag for groceries, right? And also use it as a bottle opener, right? This was a product that was made by one of our students, which is a sewage pipe cleaner. So I want to ask you this, but it had a brush and it had those 3 or 4 wheels over here, and it could go and take corners on a pipe, right? So anyway, this was just to give you an idea on how we spark innovation in students. And we work with both students in schools, even in colleges, right? But primarily in schools. Over here in the top left, top picture, this was a girls' school. They were making a bridge that could stand and stand across desks. So they've come out of the classroom because they couldn't all fit in the picture. But in the classroom, they had to make this bridge that would not fall, even though there was a big yawning gap between the desks, right? So they learned about stresses and trusses and why triangular figures are stronger than any other shape. They had engineering principles that they learned kind of using their hands and using teamwork and experiential learning. The picture on the bottom is actually MBA kids prototyping a product, and one of them says DT Dream, and they're brainstorming while they make products. So these are all ways of the future of learning. I'm now going to transition to one of the innovation hubs that we have in a school. I'll show you a short video. This is in fact on their school's website.
For the enhancement of learning, we have tied up with number of expert agencies who conduct various workshop and training programs for our children.
Curiosity Gym, which creates a lot of curiosity in different fields of science like physics, chemistry, biology.
Curiosity Gym is a startup in the education space, and we teach in schools and colleges.
Since 2019, Curiosity Gym has been running classes at St. Mary's.
I am, of course, an alumni of the same school. We run a Curiosity Gym period in curriculum for grades 3 to 7. They come to us once a week. We explain to them and conduct sessions basically in STEAM. STEAM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, Art and Math.
What they are doing in the class is making. They are thinking about what concepts they learned in class, how can they apply them.
This is basically how to build a spectroscope. There are certain lines and holes that you need to follow until you get to this. You also require a CD that you insert in the slot. There are slight cuts here and here to allow the light to enter and exit into your eyes.
And we are here to inculcate the concept of learning by doing. Because we believe that only when you do you actually learn.
Besides learning the theory in the classes, what they're exposed to is when they're given a problem, how is it that they can apply their mind? How is it that they can catalyze their curiosity?
STEAM is not just about science and technology, it's much more. It's about teamwork, it's about empathy, it's about learning to deal with failures. And STEAM embodies the basic idea of making things, DIY, do it yourself, and experiential activities.
And that iterative process of trying and things not working actually makes them learn.
This is called a balancing dragonfly. It balances with equal weight on each side. 2 paper clips on each side. This is a tumble top. It has 2 marbles in it, so that when the level of the surface is high, it will slide. And when it's a little low, and then it will tumble.
If this doesn't happen, then what next? To get that spirit of inquiry and invoke scientific temper in students is one of the main outcomes of this class.
It is these formative years and the exposure to STEAM that allows children to have 21st century skills as well as choose their careers in a more intelligent and more practical way.
This is magnetic elevation. If you see this magnet, this and this poles repel with this. So if you see this, it floats. This floats due to the repulsion of these two magnets and these two magnets behind over here. So it is the same thing that used in the trains in Japan.
The 21st century skills are about having the ability to think, having to negotiate, working in teams.
My project is on Magnus effect. This is called a cup glider. Take the two cups and put tape on it, and you have to make a chain of rubber band. You can glide how much air it wants till the wind is there. When we release it, the air pressure goes down, and this, with the help of the air pressure which is down, goes up.
Dear parents, what's going to be important in the future is the constant learning over their lifetime. That spirit and joy of learning itself is what Curiosity Gym seeks to impart. Curiosity Gym, imagining your question. So that gave you an idea on what we do at schools. Any questions so far?
So we will take all the questions at the end of the session.
Okay, fine. So then I'll go back to doing the presentation. Yeah. So one is the Innovation Hub session that we have that you all saw the video on at St. Mary's, is what we do in several schools, and though that is the STEM course that we have. We also have specialized courses in mobile app development, learning to code games for different grades, product design and 3D printing, artificial intelligence and block programming for the higher grades, and Python and data visualization also for the higher grades. Now both Python as well as AI is now becoming part of mainstream. It's being suggested by CBSE to be part of the curriculum. So we have, very good curated courses in all of this, and with the difference in the sense that we have that learning element of an applied element while they're learning, right? And we'll come to that in the presentation as well. So it's not again bookish learning that while we're imparting this, it's actually hands-on learning. We also have for the higher grades now, especially during the pandemic, the life sciences are coming up as a career of choice for the future. So we have a specialized course on bioinformatics that is suitable for students of grade 9 to 12. So if some of them are interested in biology but not really interested in becoming a doctor, but they're not really sure on what to pursue there, right? Bioinformatics gives a good opening or good exposure to what are the different fields after learning biology besides being a doctor, right? So we have biotechnologists and bioinformaticians on staff who've curated this curriculum, right? And then we also have STEM for senior school, and while the junior and middle school STEMs are mostly hands-on and curiosity-based sessions, for the senior school they're using simulation platforms, best-in-class simulation platforms to design more complex systems so they can understand interrelationships between different systems, right? And so we again curated lesson plans that have simulation platforms. We also have a course on virtual robotics. So pre-pandemic, we also have a very strong course in actual robotics, like you saw in the videos. We also have a makerspace that used to be open, again pre-pandemic. But we also have during the pandemic, and this can be again delivered to schools all across India, we have a virtual robotics course. So the same aspects of building a robot, learning to connect it, and learning the coding and solving robotic puzzles can be done now on a virtual platform. So the student only needs a computer, and we can still teach him most of the aspects of robotics. So he feels like he's actually doing a robotics class, but he's sitting at home and doing it. Right? So we have all of these courses. So one thing is we have the thing where we are delivering the innovation hub through the school timetable, like in the video that was shown, and then we also have these specialized courses. Now, how is it that in the innovation hub, we have two models of delivery. One model of delivery is where we as instructors, impart the lessons. The other is we can also enable schools to deliver these same sessions, right? And while we're doing that, we're also attacking often, if you look at most of the teachers in your schools, the top 4 questions that many of them may have is, or you may be asking them is, are your lesson plans prepared? Are your assignments graded on time? Are we factoring in the NEP, new education policy recommendations? And how will the school get ready for a hybrid mode of delivery? Right? As principals, these are some of the problems you are discussing with your teachers in your staff rooms. Right? So I would humbly say that we have a solution that may help address all of these problems. So those of you who are not that familiar with the National Education Policy, it talks about these 5 things. It's a very long document, but distilling it talks about inculcating scientific temper, critical thinking, computational thinking, problem solving, and mathematical thinking. And also scientific temper itself is about curiosity, observation, analysis, experimentation, and conclusions, right? So what we do is, so we are enabling you through a platform where we have the curriculum that we've developed over the past 5 years, right? And some of which you all saw in actuality in the pre-pandemic era. But we have that curriculum online, and we can teach your teachers on how to deliver it. So these are just screenshots from the platform. So I'm not going to, if you are interested, we can schedule a demo separately for each of you. And so a grade 8 teacher could log in, and maybe he's teaching light, and then there'll be some simulation on light. So the whole thing is on a learning management system, right? You could also track which students are enrolled. Are they viewing the content? You could give assignments. You could give badges, all of that kind of stuff. So even if the student logs in, maybe he's a grade 4 student in this case. He's programming in Scratch. He's learning some product design, right? And in this case, it's a grade 6 student who's shown is learning something on bones and joints in a fun way with a hop, skip, and jump, kind of lesson plan there, right? And they're also learning to reduce and reuse and recycle the 3 R's, maybe in the social studies class, right? And then there's an activity report, so the student can kind of measure himself on how many points he got, how many badges he's got. You can start having gamification of certificates. So the principal can have internal competitions. Potentially over time, we'll throw this open where multiple schools are participating in the same thing as well. Right? So the subject, to summarize, is, I have a small typo here. Apologize for that. On the traditional STEAM side, it's science and technology, the STEM subjects. And on the contemporary subjects is design thinking, product design, coding, AI, electronics, robotics, and project-based learning. So let me take you to a sample of the AI course, right? This is a sample of the AI course. And, we teach AI to kids. These are like 6th or 7th graders, right? They use a Scratch-like interface. For those of you who have this in your curriculum at the lower grades already, right? But so then for the higher grades, you can actually have computer vision recognition. So here the student's hand is being shown, and he's actually programming a rock, paper, scissors game. So you can see on the left why the panda says rock, the Brahmin says rock again, and the other figure says it's a tie. The judge says it's a tie. right? And this is the code that's involved with that. So we would teach the kid how to code, how are the steps, the if then else blocks, all of the syntax of coding is being taught, plus using AI concepts of computer vision recognition and things like that. Right? Moving on, so we have multiple products. So one is the innovation hub. This thing. Then program for teachers, right? And we also have mentorship. Some of you all are career counselors, right? Maybe even a sponsor is career counselors. So we do mentorships for higher graders on different aspects, especially if they're trying to go to college and want to supplement their student portfolio on, doing a kind of a world-class project in order to get into a top college. So we've got students into Harvard, Berkeley, Columbia, Cornell, right? So we are one of the few organizations in India who are actually students have worked with us on these projects and been able to get into many of the Ivy League colleges, right? And these are some of the projects or the themes that they work with us on. So who are these mentorships open for? They're open for students of grade 8 to 12. So this is not for the younger graders. We start with grade 8 to 12. It's a one-on-one mentorship program where they do problem statement identification, research, they design and prototype it. And we have varied mentorship models that range between 6 weeks to up to even 2 years. We also run, for some of y'all who may be running IB schools. In IB schools, they have a course called CAS, or Creativity Activity Service. In other schools, in CBSE schools and other schools, you may have an activity hour, or you may have clubs, right? So we can run something called a social action club, where students of, again, grade 8 to 12 can have an individual or group mentorship program, where, again, they identify a problem, research, and usually it's a term-long assignment, right? We could work with running those activities as well. These are some of the students in the past that I mentioned. So Gaurav Goel, in fact, got into Harvard. Anushka, worked with us for about 6 months and made a stick for the visually impaired. Aditya made something for drone visibility. Raghav made something for energy harvester, and he submitted an entry for Google Science Fair. He didn't win, but at least he worked with us for a while on this. Anishita got into CMU with making a waste segregator. Little bit just on ourselves, our own background. I think he is given. My co-founder was head of R&D of CMS Computers, again, a veteran from technology and management. So extremely strong team we have to guide and mentor the students. These are some of our clients. Again, across the board, whether it's boarding schools, girls' schools, boys' schools, even some of the top MBA colleges are our clients. This is my phone number and email. And Ruella, I think you put this on the chat as well, right?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, just put it again for us. So that's really what I had from a presentation perspective. I'm about 5 minutes early, but I prefer questions, so questions from any of you. Yeah.
Yes.
We can go back to slides if needed. Yes.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking us through with your presentation about the various kind of incubation and innovation that you offer via the students. I like to say that it is not a service that you provide to the students, but to the global future in making, right? Because these students end up contributing and changing the lives and make a difference to, I don't know, I can't count how many people they make a difference to. There are so many. So thank you for putting it forward. Yes, and I'm sure we would have many questions coming up right now. So dear participants, I would like to remind you, you can put your questions in the chat box. You can also use the activities button or the raise hand option on your screens and take it ahead. Meanwhile, the details, the contact details have been put in the chat box as well by Ruella Rodriguez. I'd just like to read it out for everybody's reference. Meanwhile, you can start putting your questions here. So the email ID would be girish@curiositygym.com, or you can also contact them on explore@curiositygym.com. Their website is www.curiositygym.com, and the mobile numbers, there are two mobile numbers that have been provided. The first one would be 9867 345 779, and the second one would be 932 6620374. So yes, I think you will be getting a lot of calls, mails, and messages now, because it was definitely something that would have picked a lot of minds today. And considering that a lot of us here are educators, I think it would be something that all of us would, at least we should always try to learn and experience it more, so that we know that what we are providing to our students, and we know that yes, there's so much more, that we can do for our students apart from what they already receive at, let's say, in any conventional schooling system. There's always something that, that extra mile that we can go ahead, because like I said, we run that 1 mile and the students can run a marathon. Then that is exactly how Curiosity Gym has shaped up their vision. So participants, you can start presenting your questions now.
So maybe I had a question then. What principles? What are some of the issues that they're finding today in the pandemic environment and going to online classes? And ideally, if you can unmute yourself and just speak up, if it perhaps be easier, you can just share. Right? I did have one question.
Yes, there's one question presented by Mr. Sanjay Tiwari, who's asking, how will we change the mindset of people in the education department to allow experimentations?
Yeah. So I believe that this time around, the education department is being told by the government, and the government is in fact driving this with the national education policy, and it's not only being just released as a policy, in I think in late June or late July. They have made multiple announcements on the importance of what is written in the policy. And by the way, the policy was not written just offhand. Okay, they actually had some experts, work on this for around a year, talking to different stakeholders, including principals, including vice chancellors, including practitioners in the Spain, including roundtable conferences, some of which I've attended at least one prior to them releasing it. And so, so now the question is, how do you go from a policy towards implementation? Okay. And like with all documents in my mind, there's always the difference between the cup and the lip is, an idea could be great, but how do you implement it? And a lot of times, just like climbing Mount Everest, it may be a 64-page document, very visionary, all of that, right? Nobody who reads it says this is bad, or maybe there's some squibbles about, a few things. But in a large part, people say, okay, these are good, but they're not really sure how to implement. So just like in climbing Mount Everest, you can't climb Mount Everest more than one step at a time. You got to take one step, and then you take the second step, and then you take the third step. And if you got a little wrong on the third step, well, it's not too much error. You can just come back and go a slightly different direction. Part of design thinking and this mindset of thinking is actually inculcating in students. And hence, we as adults might inculcate it in ourselves, as well as to those around us, in how this mindset can experiment. And so I think they're pretty open to doing that. Yes, because this time it's coming from the top, and so the resistance from the boards and from the principals is not going to be there as traditional. Last 200 years, I would say, they would say, well, the board said this, hence I can't do it. This time, even the authority to the board is saying change. In fact, they're saying, so it's going to change. I think that we're in the beginning of an inflection point in the education industry, with the national education policy. Will it happen tomorrow? The answer is no. Those of you who want to, take the charge of the first step and the second step, we are there to help.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, Namrata. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Girish sir, I'm Gurpreet this side from New
Yes.
Delhi.
Yes.
I was going through your presentation. Sorry, I joined a little late, but I think I joined at the app moment when you were talking about the STEAM and the code initiators and all that.
Yes.
I am basically from the computer background,
Right.
and I see a lot of parents getting very worried about teaching coding to their students. Uh, Whereas I personally feel before coding, they have to be taught about computational thinking.
Yes.
So, how do you grade the curriculum? Is my first question. Are you teaching this concept of computational thinking before you go on to coding? That's the first question. And the second question is, how are you working? Is your product a B2B solution? That means you tie up with the school, or is it also B2C model where you are directly offering services to individual parents also? Thank you.
Primarily, so our product is of three variants, but our primary product is for the schools, right? So it could be B2B, where the school makes it part of the co-curricular timetable. It could be that it's again chosen by the school, but offered as optional for the parents or students to sign up. So in a way, it's a B2B2C there. We have started a little bit on the B2C side, but it's in its infancy. To your first question on is coding, do you start with coding or do you start with algorithmic or computational thinking? I think it's an excellent question. And even prior to coding, really, I think what needs to be taught is, it's kind of how to think, right? The syntax of thinking. Actually, you don't even need a computer to teach all this stuff, right? And so we teach, for example, and so in the past 5 years, we've been teaching kids how to sort in height order, right? Sort themselves in 5 kids in a row or 6 kids in a row. How do they sort themselves when they're blindfolded, right? And to me, that's computational thinking, right? Because it's actually a bubble sort algorithm. You don't need a computer, but they're thinking about, if they can only say, is A taller than B, is B taller than C, is C taller than D, what is the next question then they ask? Okay, and so we've gamified those kind of sessions. And so that's how we teach computational thinking, right? And post that, then you start thinking about, okay, what is the syntax of doing it? Unfortunately, there's this thing of, I would say, fear of missing out that is somewhat being promoted by people, that is, pushing before that initial ability to think just with the UI, that is not really coding, right? And so, yeah, I hope I have answered your question, Gurpreet.
Yes. So that brings another question to my mind, if I can go with
Yes.
that also. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you said, very rightly said, yes, there is computational thinking can be taught without the computer, and that is the way it should be done. So my next question is, who implements this? Are you providing these material to the school, and the school educators are supposed to take it forward in the school, or is it that you are providing the faculty and that faculty engages with the students directly?
So we have both models. I think I mentioned it, maybe you joined late.
Yeah, sorry.
One is that we are the instructors, and we if we are the instructors, mostly we will be delivering it online, which is okay in the pandemic era anyway, right? If we are if the school wishes to, we also have a thing where the curriculum is online. We will train your teachers to deliver it, right? Which is a more cost efficient model for the school. And so we have both models.
Thank you so much for the answer, sir. I'll connect with you. I've noted down the email and the phone numbers,
Yeah.
and I'll connect offline with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so
Other
participants,
questions?
do we
Yeah.
have any more questions lined up? You can start posting them. We're good on time, so we can take, I think, 2 or 3 more questions quite easily. All right, so we have a question by Pankaj Jain who is asking how to develop a child interest towards new learning or out of the box thinking level with creativity.
Okay. Great question. I think it's the question if you ask me that all of us educators have to ask ourselves. To me, this is the most fundamental question, right? See, because if you really look at it, the last 200 years, most of humanity has been in this industrial age where we as adults knew more than the kids. And it was a knowledge economy. What is going to come is not a knowledge economy because the knowledge is out there. And while some people, there's the cliches example that you can just Google everything. I'm not even giving that example. I'm just saying that knowledge is now so much there that even the expert in knowledge is going to have only a fraction of knowledge. Okay. So even if okay, so because there's so much knowledge being built exponentially now. So what is going to be important in the future is going to be the ability to find knowledge, right, and be able to ask the right questions to find the knowledge. Okay, and so hence, right. So that is one piece of it. The next piece of it is if you're kind of a lot of times how do we move away? I think a corollary question I would add to Pankaj's is how do we move away to be only the herd mentality of just because everybody else is doing it, I will do it, right? Because that actually will not create actually it won't create a happy student either. You may get the marks, you may get many engineers who are becoming engineers today, and after the end of it, they say, "Ye nahi karna hai mujhe," and in fact, it's really tragic, right? And as society and as educators, you got to kind of ask yourselves is how do you. So the main thing that we as educators must do is to make students and children enjoy learning. And then you know what? It doesn't matter if they take a wrong field for a bit. It's okay. If they learn how to learn, maybe they try a field for 4 years. And then they maybe the field itself has changed from when they entered it, when they started liking it, and they may not like it anymore. As long as they have the ability to even change a field, you must give them that field, that skill. So it is not enough, like in the past, to give them skills to become only one in one profession. The only way you can actually enable students to have a multi-profession career, right, which is definitely different from our parents' age. And our age, maybe we are in between. But in our kids' age, they're going to have multiple careers, right? And so in the multiple career scenario of the world, what is most important is for children to have the ability to pick up things new, ask those questions, figure out how to improve it, figure out the why, what, how, and then they improve it, right? And then technology, automation, all of these things are going to happen. We must give them creative confidence to not be overwhelmed by it. Okay, so the reason why you might want to teach them some coding or some technology is because sometimes people have this mindset about, no, I'm scared of this. You must not have that thing that they're scared, but that doesn't mean that the fundamentals, like Gurpreet in the previous question asked, is do they understand logic? See, they may have understand syntax, but again, many times I interview people, they say, I know this one language in coding. I say, do you know this other language? They're stuck. Or sometimes they've even hired them, by the way, and they struggle. Why? Because they cannot adapt from one language to the other. Now, a good computer programmer actually doesn't need to know any of the language. If he knows logic, he can go from one to the other as well, right? So that's really the difference, and that really is. So we understand these and we build content around these paradigms, right? So yeah, talking a little bit about second careers. For me, this is my second career. Why did I start Curiosity Gym? Is because I've been in technology and management a long time, right, in Silicon Valley here, right? I wasn't in education. I wanted to come to education because I said, first of all, it's beautiful to deal with kids every day. Second is, how do you make them innovate, right? That is the fundamental problem that's in front of us, right? So I said, if I'm working next 25 years, what will keep me excited? Now, to me, why am I relating this to you all? Many of you all have entered this profession because of the same reason, I believe. Some of you, at least. I fondly hope, right? And that is, so how do we keep innovating with kids so that they are then improving themselves, right? Is by giving them this ability to say, while marks are important and I don't want to say they're not, but what is perhaps more important is this ability to think. Okay. So to Pankaj, to your question, I gave a roundabout answer, but what we have done in these innovation hubs is in the pre-pandemic era, right, we had a lot of activity-based things, a lot of do-it-yourself things. And a lot of times we found that the average student actually was doing better. They would come to us at even lunchtime. They would stay back after school more than, sometimes the top kid in the class, much more. And, this is consistent. Okay. And because by giving that environment where they can experiment, fail, show off what they made to others, they are actually doing better. And many times, if you give a hands-on activity, curiosity-based activity, where it's not bookish learning, you'll actually find the more creative kids in the class actually this thing. And then what happens, it raises the bar for everybody, because everybody gets excited. The curiosity and creativity also becomes a forum for discussion at home. Otherwise, I don't know. I'm a dad of two kids. I ask my sons, what happened at school? They'll say, oh, nothing. So, but if they're doing something, they're more likely to tell you that, right? Okay. Because, there's some activity there. And so then it starts affecting society in many different ways. And creativity is never done in a vacuum, in my mind. Other questions? I think we have 5-6 minutes more.
Yes, we actually do have time to take one last question of the evening, if anybody presents it. I think we'll just wait for a few more seconds in case anybody is typing.
Okay.
All right, I think we're done with the questions for today. Just like your session, I think the questions also were quite thought-provoking. They were very pointed, they were very clear, and at the same time, they challenged us as educators, to think and expand our learning. If we do not expand our learning, if we do not innovate, then definitely I think it's very difficult for us to expect from students to say that, yes, this is what you should be doing or you should not be doing. And I think that is exactly where Curiosity Gyms comes in. Like the name itself has curiosity, which has no bounds. It's limitless. Curiosity could be about anything. And even if you know certain things, you can still be curious about what else is out there. So thank you, sir, for taking us through such an innovative product, such an innovative service, I'd say. And I think your efforts in nation building is clearly quite visible.
Thank you.
Thank you to our participants for engaging in today's session. I'm sure it was a learning experience for all of you, as well as much as it was for me today. We will meet again tomorrow at 5 o'clock in the evening. Till then, have a great evening.
Thank you again. Thank you, everyone. And great questions also.